All right. Hey, Scott. Appreciate you coming and taking a couple minutes with us on Gemini Live here today.
No problem at all.
How's the conference going for you?
Conference is going very good. Everybody's been pretty well safe and masked, and it's a pretty good turnout considering we're in the middle of a pandemic right now.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed myself.
Yeah.
So, kind of on that note, I've been asking a bunch of the firms how this work from home has worked for your firm, and whether you've been work from home the whole time, how the transition was if you were, and then what you think is going to be happening in the future for your firm.
So we jumped on the remote working pretty soon, even before the stay-at-home orders, about a week to 10 days before, if I remember, and we basically kind of saw this coming. So in February, we purchased a number of laptops, extra monitors, additional phones for people to bring home, and then as they were getting in and programmed, we sent everybody home. And that lasted for a while. We slowly were bringing people back to the office. Majority of our people now are back in the office. We have a few people that are hybrid or remote. But the good thing is when we do get people who get sick or get COVID, they have more options now, and that if they're sick and they'd like to use a sick day, or if they're just maybe got exposed and they're quarantining not sure but want to protect the rest of the office that they're in for us, then they can work remotely.
Yep. And I understand that even through COVID, your office was still pretty busy.
Yeah. So and when it was a definite change in the clientele. I mean, at first, I would say in 2020, from I'd say April until the end, we were getting a lot of COVID calls. Not necessarily claims that we would sign up, but at least we can give people, advice on what to do. And some of them, we let them know if their conditions got worse or they were not getting the treatment that they needed, through comp, then to give us a call back. And unfortunately, a handful of them did have to call us back. But now I think we're much closer to normal as far as our intakes and incoming cases. As far as when I say normal, I mean the type of cases that come in that we still are occasionally getting the COVID cases, but we have more than normal cases, again, with most people being back to work.
Mm-hmm. And you're finding now that the volume is picking back up to where it was prior to pandemic?
Yeah.
Intakes?
I do believe right now that our intakes are getting closer to where we were that first quarter of 2020.
Gotcha. Good deal. How do you see things happening in the future? You think it is going to be a hybrid situation with people working from home, or do you think it's going to go back to working at work?
It's definitely a challenge in a different way for the remote and hybrid. I can tell you that there's a handful of employees who are much more efficient and work much better from home, and there's a handful who don't.
Exactly.
And it's a tough rope to walk on that we're working with now. I think that one thing that does allow us to do a lot more work from home is or remote, or just the boards, because with the MSC and the conference calendars all being call in at this point, and from what I hear, that's could be for the indefinite future.
Yes.
Then that does allow for a lot more flexibility in the remote type working. As far as trials and expedited, we're back on life size now.
Right.
I do foresee those probably mainly being in person, and maybe being a hybrid. There's some boards, Bakersfield and San Diego, that have really been encouraging the remote trials while we had that option. And there's other boards like Fresno, which were discouraging the remote trials and preferring them in person. So I think kind of going forward, each kind of board's going to have its own identity and what they're looking for, and in with our office and having different offices, between San Diego and Fresno, we do see kind of the different personalities from the different boards, and that may dictate how our office has to respond.
Sure. Let me change gears for a second with a question that I like to ask a lot of people that I sit down with that are work comp attorneys. How did you end up getting into work comp? Because most people don't go through law school saying, I can't wait to be a work comp attorney. So how did you fall into work comp?
That's very true, and I'm actually one of the few people that probably was well aware of workers' comp before I even went to law school, and that's because I kind of have a family. Some people say, oh, it's the Silberman dynasty, right, of workers' comp people. So I grew up with my dad being a workers' comp attorney, and he later became a workers' comp judge. I worked for his firm when I started out, but that being said, when I did go to law school, I said I did not want to go into workers' comp, and it wasn't because I thought that workers' comp was a bad area. I just never, I always like to lead my own path and not really have people just think that I'm riding on the tails of my father. But when I finished law school, my intention was to become an immigration attorney. But at that time, there were some changes in the immigration laws, which led to a decline in the demand for immigration attorneys. So I went to work for my dad, and I said, I'm only going to work here for a short time. So now that it's 20-something years later, and after, and also my stepmother, Susan, was an applicant's attorney at the time when I started becoming an attorney. My dad was a defense attorney at the time, so and I have in my family, there's, they were, of course, the two that kind of started on the work comp trend, but my brother is also a work comp attorney with our firm.
Okay.
My wife, Cheryl, is also a work comp attorney with my firm, and her sister, Heather, is also a work comp attorney with my firm, and they have two sisters that are QMEs, a dental QME and a chiropractor QME. So
wow.
People do joke when we all sit around, like, what will happen to our family if they get rid of workers' comp? So I guess.
Well, you certainly built your own dynasty, right? Yeah. So that's fantastic. And then last question, what do you do in your time off?
So I do enjoy scuba diving. That's probably my biggest hobby. We have a place in Roatan, which is an island in the Caribbean between Honduras and Belize. And we're usually there working remotely from about a month a year during August. So I'd say scuba diving, and then I enjoy skiing with my kids.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you again for joining us today on Gemini Live. Appreciate you sitting down and having a few words with me, and enjoy the rest of the convention.
No problem at all.
Thank you.
Thank you.